You've been staring at the same decision for days now. Everything looks possible, and yet nothing feels clear. Your mind keeps looping through scenarios, trying to predict outcomes, trying to avoid regret, trying to make the right move so you don't mess everything up. And the more you think about it, the heavier it feels. Like every option carries a hidden consequence you can't see yet. It's exhausting. Maybe you've even asked people around you, different opinions, different advice, different directions, and somehow, instead of clarity, you just feel more overwhelmed. Because now it's not just your thoughts, it's everyone else's voices layered on top of your own uncertainty. And underneath all of that, there's pressure. Pressure to decide. Pressure to not fall behind. Pressure to not choose wrong and regret it later. You haven't said it out loud, but part of you is scared. Scared that if you choose wrong, you might close the wrong door. Scared that you'll miss something better. Scared that this moment matters more than you feel ready for. So instead, you pause, not because you want to, but because you don't trust what you're feeling right now. And here's the truth most people won't tell you. Too many options don't create freedom. They create noise. Because when every path looks possible, your mind tries to control the future instead of trusting the process. You start searching for certainty in a place where certainty doesn't exist. And that's what creates the paralysis you're feeling. But what if the pressure you feel isn't actually coming from God? What if that tight, anxious urgency, that feeling that you have to figure it all out right now, isn't divine direction, but internal fear? Because real guidance doesn't feel like panic. It feels like peace, even before the answer is fully clear. And maybe right now what you need isn't a faster decision. Maybe what you need is a quieter mind. So just for a moment, pause with me. You don't have to solve everything in this second. You don't have to force clarity out of confusion. You don't have to rush into something just to escape the discomfort of not knowing. You're allowed to be here, right in the middle of the crossroads, right in the uncertainty, right in this space where nothing is fully clear yet. Because this space isn't wasted. This is where something deeper begins. Before direction comes stillness. Before clarity comes surrender. And before the next step becomes visible, something inside you has to quiet down enough to recognize it. Part of you just wants to figure it out. To sit down, weigh the pros and cons, calculate the risks, and choose the option that seems the safest or the smartest. Because that's what you've been taught. That if something makes sense on paper, it must be the right path to take. And honestly, that kind of thinking has probably protected you before. But this feels different. Because even when something looks right, something inside you hesitates. Not loud, not dramatic. Just a quiet resistance you can't fully explain. And that's the tension. Your mind is trying to lead, but your spirit isn't fully aligned. Maybe you've been telling yourself, this is the logical choice. This is what I should do. This is what everyone expects me to do. But deep down, there's a question you haven't been able to silence. What if this isn't the path meant for me? It's uncomfortable to admit that, because trusting something beyond your own reasoning feels uncertain. It means releasing control, even just a little, and control has felt like safety for a long time. But here's something gentle to consider. Not every open door is a door you're meant to walk through. And not every path that looks clear is aligned with where God is leading you. Because human logic focuses on outcomes, but divine wisdom focuses on alignment. One asks, will this work? The other asks, is this right for who I'm becoming? And those two questions don't always lead to the same place. You might choose something that looks perfect on the outside, stable, impressive, secure, and still feel a quiet unrest that follows you into it. Not because you made a terrible decision, but because it wasn't your direction. God's guidance rarely comes as a full blueprint. It's more subtle than that, more personal. Sometimes it's a gentle pull, a sense of peace that doesn't fully make sense yet, a quiet yes that doesn't need to shout. And sometimes it's the absence of that peace, that feeling you can't ignore, even when everything else looks right. So instead of asking what makes the most sense right now, Try asking something softer. Where do I feel the most peace, even if I don't fully understand it yet? Because clarity doesn't always arrive as certainty. Sometimes it arrives as alignment, and alignment feels different. It doesn't rush you. It doesn't pressure you. It doesn't demand that you prove anything. It simply settles, slowly, gently, quietly. And maybe that's what you're starting to notice. Not a loud answer, but a shift, a small, steady movement inside you, pulling you towards something that feels right, even if it doesn't fully make sense yet. Hold on to that, because that's often where real direction begins. It's not just your thoughts anymore. It's everything you've heard, everything people have said, everything you think you're supposed to do. Advice, expectations, opinions. Some of them well-meaning, some of them heavy, all sitting in your mind at the same time. And even when you try to be still, it's like there's a constant background noise you can't fully turn off. It's overwhelming. Maybe you've caught yourself replaying conversations. What did they mean? Are they right? Am I making a mistake if I don't listen? And slowly, their voices start to sound louder than your own. That's where clarity begins to fade. Because when everything around you is speaking, it becomes harder to recognize what God is actually saying. And here's something gentle, but important. Not every voice deserves equal volume in your life. Some voices are rooted in fear. Some are shaped by other people's limitations. Some are simply not meant for your path. But when you're already uncertain, it's easy to give them more weight than they should have. So your mind gets crowded. And a crowded mind struggles to hear clearly. God's voice doesn't compete with noise. It doesn't force its way in. It doesn't shout over everything else. It waits for space. And maybe that's what's been missing. Not effort, not intelligence, just space. So right now, let's create a little of that together. You don't have to solve anything. You don't have to decide anything. Just notice. Notice the tension in your thoughts. Notice the pressure that feels urgent. Notice which ideas bring anxiety and which ones feel quieter, and gently begin to separate them. Because peace and pressure don't sound the same. One rushes you, the other steadies you. One fills your mind with what ifs. The other brings a quiet sense of it's okay. So take a breath here, and let's do something simple but powerful. Type this in the comments slowly, like you mean it. I release the noise. I choose peace. Not as a performance, not because anyone is watching, but because something inside you needs permission to quiet down. Because clarity doesn't come from thinking louder. It comes from listening deeper. And the moment the noise begins to fade, even just a little, you might start to notice something you couldn't hear before. A softer direction, a calmer awareness, a sense that you're not actually alone in this decision. God is still here, not in the noise, but in the stillness that follows it. You don't have to figure this out alone, not this time, not in your own strength, not through overthinking, not by forcing clarity where it hasn't come yet. Right here, this is where you can begin to shift from pressure into prayer. So just slow down for a moment. If you can, close your eyes or soften your focus. Let your shoulders drop a little. You're safe to be still here. God, I don't have all the answers, and maybe that's what's been weighing on me. The pressure to know, to decide, to move forward without being fully sure. It's been heavy, and I don't want to carry it like this anymore. So right now, I'm bringing this decision to you. Every option, every fear, every possible outcome I've been trying to control, I release it. God, if there are doors in front of me that are not meant for me, close them. Close them clearly. Close them firmly. Close them in a way that removes confusion, even if it disappoints me at first, because I don't want what looks good if it's not aligned. And if there are doors that are meant for me, open them. Open them with clarity. Open them with favor. Open them in a way that I can't ignore. Not forced, not confusing, but steady and undeniable. Remove the need for me to guess. remove the pressure to strive, and guide me into alignment with what you're already preparing. God, quiet the part of me that keeps trying to rush ahead. The part that wants control more than trust. The part that feels like if I don't act now, I'll miss something important. Replace that with peace. Not temporary relief, but real peace. The kind that settles deep even before I see the full picture. And if I've been holding on to a path that isn't for me, help me let it go. Even if I liked it. Even if I planned for it. Even if it made sense to me. Because I don't want to walk into something just because I chose it. I want to walk into what you've already aligned for me. So right now, I surrender this decision, not passively, but with trust. Trust that you see what I can't see. Trust that you're guiding even when it feels quiet. Trust that no step taken with you is ever wasted. And in this moment, I choose peace over pressure. I choose alignment over control. I choose to follow, even if it's just one step at a time. If this prayer resonates with you, type this slowly. I trust the doors God opens and closes. Let that settle. You don't need a full map, just the next step will be enough. That question might still be sitting with you. Am I really willing to walk through the door God opens, even if it's not the one I wanted? Be honest with yourself here. Because part of you had a picture, a plan that made sense, an outcome you were quietly hoping would work out the way you imagined. And letting go of that isn't easy. It's quiet grief, not dramatic, not obvious to anyone else, but real. So before we move forward, let's bring that into prayer too. Just breathe for a moment. God, you see what I've been holding on to. The path I thought would work, the direction I hoped would open, the version of the future that felt comfortable, familiar, safe. And if I'm honest, part of me is still attached to it. Not because I don't trust you, but because I don't fully understand what comes next. So right here, I acknowledge that. No pretending, no hiding, just honesty. God, if I've been resisting your direction because it doesn't match my expectations, softly realign me. Not with force, not with fear, but with peace. Because I don't want to be led by disappointment. I don't want to chase something just because I already invested in it. I want to move in alignment. So place your peace inside me, not based on what I want to feel, but based on what is truly right. Let that peace become my compass. If something isn't for me, let it feel unsettled, even if it looks perfect on the outside. And if something is for me, let it carry a calm assurance, even if it stretches me. Teach me the difference between anxiety and your guidance. One rushes me, the other steadies me. One makes me feel like I have to prove something. The other reminds me I'm already held. So right now, I release the need to force clarity. I release the urgency to decide out of fear. And I receive your peace. Not all at once, but gently, layer by layer. Let it settle into my thoughts. Let it soften the tension in my body. Let it quiet the questions that don't need answers yet. God, align me. Align my desires. Align my timing. Align my next step. So when I move, I'm not reacting. I'm responding. If you feel that shift, even just a little, type this. My peace is my direction. Let that be your anchor. Because clarity isn't always loud. But peace is unmistakable. And when you learn to follow it, you stop chasing answers and start walking in alignment. Waiting is the hardest part. Not because nothing is happening, but because you can't see what's happening. You've prayed, you've released, you've asked for clarity, and now there's this space, quiet, unresolved, still a little uncertain, and part of you wonders, did I do something wrong? Why isn't the answer clearer yet? Am I supposed to move or stay? That tension is real, because waiting can feel like being stuck, like life is on pause while everything around you keeps moving forward. But this kind of waiting isn't empty. It's a posture, a steady, intentional place where you're not forcing the next step, but you're also not shutting down or giving up. You're staying open. That matters, because God doesn't rush clarity, He develops alignment. And alignment often happens in the waiting, in the small, quiet shifts you don't immediately notice, in the way your thoughts begin to soften, in how your urgency slowly starts to lose its grip. Something is changing, even if it's subtle. So instead of asking, "When will I know?" try sitting with a different question. How can I stay grounded while I don't know yet? Because there's strength in this space. Not loud strength, not visible strength, but steady strength. The kind that doesn't panic when things are unclear. The kind that trusts that timing matters just as much as direction. You don't have to fill the silence. You don't have to force movement just to feel progress. You can be here, present, aware, open, and trust that when the step becomes clear, you'll recognize it. Not because it will solve everything instantly, but because it will carry something familiar now, peace. So for this moment, just stay, not stuck, but steady, not lost, but being led quietly. Even here, especially here, God is still working, and you are not behind. Something feels different now. Not everything, but enough. The noise isn't as loud. The pressure isn't sitting as heavy in your chest. And even if you don't have a full answer yet, you're not in the same place you were before. Because breakthrough doesn't always arrive as a sudden dramatic moment. Sometimes it begins as a quiet shift, a soft release, a deeper breath, a sense that you don't have to carry this the same way anymore. And maybe you're noticing that now. You're not rushing as much, not trying to force clarity, not chasing every possible outcome just to feel in control. Instead, something inside you is settling. That's alignment, not loud, not overwhelming, but real. And from this place, something begins to open, not all at once, but step by step. The right conversations, the right timing, the right doors beginning to reveal themselves without force. That's how favor often moves. Quietly, naturally, in a way that doesn't create confusion but clears it. You don't have to chase what's meant for you. You just have to stay aligned and recognize it when it appears. So take a moment here. Notice your breathing. Notice your thoughts. Notice the space that's opened up inside you. You're lighter. Not because everything is solved, but because you're not carrying it alone anymore. God is with you in this, in the uncertainty, in the waiting, in the next step that hasn't fully appeared yet. And when it does, you'll be ready. Not perfect, not completely certain, but grounded, peaceful, aligned. So before you leave this moment, type this, slowly, I am walking in divine clarity and peace. Let that be your declaration. Not just for this moment, but for what's coming next. Because you're not guessing your way forward anymore. You're being guided. And even now, something is shifting for you.